Zenith calling in from Australia. Zenith, you're live on Truth Wanted. What's up?
G'day, people. How are you?
Doing fantastic.
How are you?
Doing fantastic. What's up?
Yeah, well, I was actually listening to everything you've just been going through, and that's very interesting. But I've got into me that we are not actually alive at the moment. We are
not
going to life.
Going to life? What do you mean?
Yeah. Well, basically, why is it that when you look in terms of time, you're dead for a long, long time, but you only live for a certain time? Could it be that we have it the other way around?
I mean, it's an interesting model, like I watched Lost all the way through to the end. But how would you know? Like, if that is the case, what evidence suggests that that's what's happening?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to put it this way. In my dreams, I see a lot of people everywhere complaining about their life. And yet they all don't yearn for death. Could it be not that they're actually deaf now and feeling nothing and going to life?
That entirely depends on whether or not you believe dreams are a reliable source of information. Do you believe that dreams are a reliable source of information?
Yes.
Well, then we might have a difference of opinion because I do not think that dreams are a reliable source of information. And my evidence for that is all the dreams I've had about shit that didn't come true or didn't matter, right? I think that's most of the time that we have dreams. The fact that you've had a couple of dreams in your life, in the vast majority of your life, where your dreams haven't mattered, and you've had some recently that maybe have, might just be, blips, extra patterns that you're seeing that may not actually be there. It might just be the human imagination playing it. Again, that's a suggestion, but every time anyone has ever said that their dreams are doing stuff, it's just something that we can't demonstrate to be true because I can't verify that you're having those dreams. And unless you're recording them in a diary, which some people do, and then they say they come things later, it's always going to be subject to human interpretation. So I would say that overall, maybe dreams aren't the best way to determine things about reality.
I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
There are a lot of scientists or a lot of doctors that don't believe in dying on an operation, seeing things coming back. Correct?
Like near-death experiences is what you're describing. I mean, do people believe in them? Again, like, sure, we believe that they exist, that people have experiences when they are very near death, but are those reliable? Same with your dreams. Like, it's not a reliable source of verifiable information or frankly, even valid information as we start to like pull the thread on it.
Yeah.
Well, people can say, it's not verifiable. It's not verifiable because it's never happened to them. If it's happened to them, it becomes real. If you understand what I'm trying to say.
I mean, real maybe, but not true. Not valid, not based in sound logic or fact.
Zenith, think about this. What if I said, look, I got this astrology prediction and this happened to me, and the only reason why you don't believe in astrology is because you haven't had a prediction that's come true. Like, would that convince you of the truth of astrology? I don't think it should.
Well, when you look at it, it's like saying you're looking up at the sky at night. You see the stars. Are you actually seeing stars, or are you actually seeing the light of a star that died long ago?
We're seeing the light from a star that died long ago.
Or is still alive, depending on the star, but ultimately, like, light hits our eyes, and that's the method by which we examine the world. It's not a perfect method. It's one of the better ones that we have to operate from, so we tend to use it a lot. Yeah. What does any of this have to do with your dreams or your near-death experiences being a source of verifiable information?
Yeah, the reason why I can definitively say it's light from dying stars or stars that are still alive is because physics has demonstrated that, which is a reliable like the methodologies employed in physics are reliable methodologies by which we can make predictions, right? Can we say the same for dreams?
Yeah, but that's the point. They're predictions. No one actually knows whether they're real or they're not real. They are predictions.
We know that stars are real. I don't think it's a question in the astronomical community whether stars are real or not. Like, I don't think that's a hot topic.
No, I'm talking about life and death. If life is,
we don't know that
we know of, flesh and blood, brain, that sort of stuff, and death isn't. What's the difference?
Well,
Because
I mean,
if you listen to religion, Jesus says something along the lines of, "Your life will end now, and I will come and get you later on, downtime, and take you to life with the Father up in heaven." Correct?
Yeah. Something to that effect.
Is that death going to life, or life going to death, going to life?
Right. So I think he was speaking in metaphor, but like Christological interpretations aside, right? Like the question of what life is actually interesting, right? Because like we may not have a definitive answer as of it. In fact, we don't. And that's like something for biologists to determine and figure out, because as like we've talked about addiction changing over time and what that definition means, life has also changed as a definition, in part because we've developed new like AI technologies and also have a broader understanding of how the brain works and how other things work. So like that's an interesting philosophical question of its own, but like the fact that we can't definitively always point to what we consider life, I don't know, like that doesn't verify other models of reality being true, like whether life and death are inverse. You know what I mean? Like we still have to have reason for going down those other paths. And right now I don't see a reason why I should think one way or the other about, what you're trying to say.
Well, it's simple. I mean, some people, or scientists or doctors, they're the same. They all think or believe that the mind is separate from the brain. But are they?
Yes. Your mind is just a construct. It's a made-up word that we use. Yeah. It doesn't mean anything except for what we say it means. Yeah. And what we understand that word to be is the synesthesia of the nerves inside of our body connecting and cross-wiring and forming something that we describe as the mind. Yep. That mind is not exclusively located in the brain, and we can demonstrate that through all kinds of really interesting research. Right. You can go back and watch the Secular Sexuality episode exploring the polyvagal theory, for one. Mm-hmm. But regardless, I'm struggling with how any of this has to do with the notion that we are somehow in like a loading space before our real life begins.
Yeah, and at the same time as well, we've never observed a mind without a brain, or without at least a physical correspondence, right? We've never seen like minds just exist in the abstract.
Well, a mind is just a construct, the same way that like a nation or a country is a construct. Like we can't see America, we can see the land that we've decided to describe as American.
That's true, but a nation doesn't exist without people,
right?
And a mind can't exist without like a physical apparatus, right?
Yeah, that's the thing that it's coming from. Yeah.
That's what I don't believe.
Okay. Why?
I believe the mind is separate from the brain, because the brain.
How do you know?
Is an object, correct? Because it's in your head. That's where your brain is, but your mind is not. Your mind comes to you from another place. But where is?
How do you know that?
Because that comes back to where I was saying. That's coming back to dreams, and it's coming back to life, and it's coming back to death.
So your mind is doing some interesting things, and you're looking for a model to understand why. And I can absolutely appreciate that. Sure. Let me encourage you to perhaps investigate some neuroscience or something that has a little bit more like verifiable and like a veracity of evidence versus your personal experiences. Because as profound as those might be to you, they're very subject to tampering. They're very
It's true.
subject to outside forces that you yourself would not want to be influenced by. And so let me acknowledge that it
Well-
makes sense that you want to organize your world, and that this model that you've come to seems to fit in with your experiences. But your experiences are such a poor data set to work from. And
Yeah.
I would really invite you to investigate a little further.
And I want to ask you this too, Seth. I'm going to ask you, before you go on, I'm going to ask you 2 questions. Okay. Question 1, is it true that you can take certain drugs that can affect the way you have dreams?
Yes.
Okay. So would that not lead you to believe, or would it not make sense that the mind is rooted in physical causes because a physical object is manipulating your mind and your perception?
Yes, I can agree with that one.
Okay. So why say that they're separate? Because if we have evidence that shows that one thing can cause the other, and as far as I know, no evidence that suggests the other way around, why come to that other conclusion?
Simply because I've seen, look, I'm nearly 70 years of age.
Sure.
I've seen a lot of things over my time on this world. I've spoken to a lot of people. I've spoken to a lot of neuroscientists, neurosurgeons, and I've spoken to a lot of people who have this sort of thing. Okay, I'll give you an example the other way with that. That's like saying, some people have said, they don't eat meat because they don't want to harm animals. And yet, it's been proved through scientific methods, or whichever way you want to put that plants also feel pain.
I'm going to say that's not true. I think that's a myth. And I'm saying that because I'm literally a vegan, and that's a thing that gets perpetuated around people who do eat meat. That perceptions of pain amongst plants is a thing, and that's debatable. But even if it did exist, definitely doesn't exist amongst all plant species. But that's
the definition of pain is, getting really stretched.
Right.
And that's a valid and important conversation, but it doesn't make Zenith's point.
Also, that's just saying that people are hypocrites. That I don't think that metaphor has to deal with my point, which is that your brain or your dreams have physical influences. And if it has physical influences, then it must be interacting with the physical, at least on some level, right? Like you can't get around that.
Well, I'll give you an example on that one too. Then, years ago, we used to have tapes that you put in a cassette. Maybe that's beyond before your time.
Familiar with the concept of cassette tapes? Help me out here, and we're a little bit past time, so we please
wrap it up.
Help me.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what that simply means is you listen to the tape at night while you sleep to help you pass tests in school. And when you wake up in the morning, you can remember and do everything that tape says.
That's not a thing.
Yeah, we start off this show talking about hypnosis. I'm fascinated by it. I'm a proponent of it. I'm trained in it. I love talking about hypnosis. But that tape does not exist. Are there tapes that could potentially help you become a better student? Absolutely. But there are also YouTube videos that could help you become a better student. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Also, that's only proving my point, because the physical world is influencing your brain. It's not coming from anywhere that's not physical. Like a cassette audio is a physical medium. So I don't know how it illustrates your point, but Zenith, we don't have time. I'm sorry. We got to wrap up this call. I do appreciate you calling in. And I hope you find the answers that you're looking for, but I don't think I've literally said this on the show before. I don't think dreams are a reliable source of information. I don't know. I guess I have to keep saying it. I just don't think they are, because everybody's had dreams about stuff, man. And
and I appreciate why people want to put so much importance on it. I mean, our defenses are down in a certain way that makes us really willing to take something we receive in a dream or we receive, something that, is part of our natural thought processes at a moment when our ego's not really there to defend us. We take that information a lot more seriously. And I think that that's really interesting.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean it's coming from, some other dimension.
Yeah, definitely. This is like, I'm so surprised, Christy, that the topic of consciousness being streamed into the brain, like coming from outside the brain, has come up a lot on this show. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
People are really fascinated by consciousness and how it works, because it is kind of weird. But it's such a popular idea.
It really is. And again, I mentioned my fascination with psychedelics in psychotherapy and like the burgeoning research there. And that's such a common talking point, that these psychedelic chemicals, which do fascinating, beautiful, amazing things, are somehow like retuning us into some like sonic frequency out in the ether.
Or you're seeing
and
dimensions.
why there's so many like simpler explanations. You don't have to use Occam's razor to recognize that that's just preposterous.
Yeah, experiences are overwhelming, I guess, and that causes us to not think straight. I don't know, but look, we don't have any more time. We did what we could.